To a major breakthrough for victims and survivors of the Hillsborough tragedy. They're celebrating the introduction of the Hillsborough Law that will force public bodies to cooperate with investigations into major disasters or potentially face criminal sanctions, as well as provide legal funding to those affected by state-related disasters. Prime Minister Keir Starmer says the Hillsborough Law will end the culture of cover-up. The families of some of Hillsborough disaster victims were welcomed to Number 10 by Starmer this morning. Amongst them was Margaret Aspinall, former chair of the Hillsborough Family Support Group, who lost her 18-year-old son James in the tragedy in 1989. She said, "It's been a long journey to get here. I'm so grateful to the Prime Minister for fulfilling his promise to me. This campaign wasn't about just us. It is about the ordinary people of this country. Hopefully this law will mean no one will ever have to suffer like we did. This promise now was well worth waiting for the good of the people. We have got the Hillsborough Law."
Were lied to, they were misled, their loved ones were blamed for what happened. The fans were blamed for pushing in, for pushing through the gates, for causing the tragedy when it wasn't the case. The police had misled the public. They'd briefed the newspapers against the fans, and there was information withheld about the way in which the medical services responded to what happened. So all these things, I mean, Hillsborough really ticked all the boxes of a scandal. Not only was it a tragedy, but at every level they were lied to, they were misled. And this has happened again and again. It's happened with the post office scandal. It's happened with infected blood. And the government has long promised to bring this in. And it basically means that what they call a duty of candour will apply to public officials, where they will not be allowed to mislead. It will be like if you were in a criminal court and you perverted the course of justice. You couldn't do that in an inquest. You couldn't do that in an inquiry. You would face a criminal prosecution and could go to prison for it. And the other key aspect of this is that now campaigners will have, if they are bereaved, they will have the same level of legal support as the government. Often when you go into these legal cases when a campaigners try to take on the government, it is embarrassing when you look at say one barrister on one side and up to 20 legal representatives and clerks and cases on the other, and it's not a level playing field, and the government says that will be redressed when it comes to bereaved families. And you can think, for example, with Hillsborough or Grenfell, when people have tried to take on big organisations, big institutions, they are outgunned, and they feel now they will have that legal support. So this is incredibly important and a momentous legal advancement for campaigners in the future.
Well, this is a move that honours the 97 Liverpool fans that were killed at the 1989 FA Cup semi-final. The original verdict, following an inquest, was deemed as accidental death. This was later quashed in 2016, following years of campaigning by the families, with an inquest jury ruling they were unlawfully killed. Liverpool have released this statement this morning. Liverpool Football Club welcomes the introduction and forthcoming implementation of the Hillsborough Law, a landmark piece of legislation born from the tireless efforts of the families, survivors and campaigners who have fought for truth and justice for more than 3 decades. We pay tribute to the families whose unwavering determination and dignity in the face of unimaginable loss and injustice have inspired a movement that will protect others. Their courage and selflessness will not only change the law, it will change the lives of future generations.
You lost your brother Graham in the tragedy.
That's right, yes.
Just explain what's happened behind Number 10 doors today.
Well, we were invited for breakfast with Keir Starmer, Bishop James Jones and Ken Sutton were with us as well. Keir spoke very well and was very supportive and really wants this to come through. We've all said we do not want it watering down in any way, shape or form, and we will be watching every step of the way, and so will our legal team. We've also said we don't want to wait too much longer. Ideally, we would like the full Hillsborough Law by the end of this year, but if that's not possible, then very soon afterwards. But, you know, we're all getting old now. We want to see this. And as Keir said, once this is a law, it will serve the country, not just now, but in 100 years' time, hopefully 200, 300 years' time.
And the Hillsborough Law, just explaining to viewers, is to have a duty of candour where basically officials can't lie, they can't deceive, they can't make things up, and they can't
cover up. They can't cover up anymore like they did at Hillsborough. We were treated so appallingly, and so many family members, my dad and mum too, died prematurely. They were tormented by the way they were treated. We knew that there was a big cover-up going on, but there didn't seem to be anything that we could do about it. Sadly, my dad passed away before the 20th anniversary, and that really was the turning point when Andy Burnham stood up at the anniversary service and promised to get the documents released. But they went a step further and got the Hillsborough Independent Panel, and the report from the Hillsborough Independent Panel then led to the new inquests. And
what was the biggest lie that you think was over?
There were plenty of lies, and not just the big ones. There were lots of little ones. I'm sure we'll never get to the bottom of all the lies, but the biggest lie was the one on the day by the chief commander, David Duckenfield, who said that the fans had forced the gate open, and that lie then spiralled and just led to over 20 years of complete injustice.
You say there's still work to do. You'll still want to make sure that this gets through Parliament, it's not watered down. But how important is today?
Today is monumental. It's a day that, you know, even a week ago we didn't think we were going to get. Our legal people still had issues, but now they've been resolved. And the people in government who are working on this, I do believe that they want this to happen. You know, the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister, the Attorney General, Alex Davis-Jones, they all seem genuinely keen to have this happen.
Where do you think it could be watered down? What are your fears around this now?
I think there's forces, perhaps within the House of Lords, certainly externally, that don't want this to come to fruition. They have their own reasons why they don't want it, but we're gonna keep on and on until this does come to fruition.
And finally, we talked about duty of candour and honesty, but also legal representation and the rights of people to have the same level of legal representation as the authorities are going up against them. How important is that?
It's hugely important. We had to go out and fundraise. The first inquest, Trevor Hicks, who was the chairman at the time, he counted up the number of members of families from the Hillsborough Family Support Group, and he went to each family and said, please, can you give us X many £1,000s. Some families couldn't do that, so then he had to go back to the families that had give money and ask for more. So, you know, none of us were rich. You know, we were just normal families, but we wanted the best for our loved ones. But then we had one barrister against teams of barristers for the police, for the ambulance, for the FA, for Sheffield City Council. We didn't stand a chance.